About purity, some persons raise a question whether the social feeling is contained in the nature of man, and yet I think these same persons would have no doubt that love of purity is certainly contained in it, and that if a man is distinguished from other animals by anything, he is distinguished by this. When then we see any other animal cleaning itself, we are accustomed to speak of the act with surprise, and to add that the animal is acting like a man. And on the other hand, if a man blames an animal for being dirty straightway, as if we were making an excuse for it, we say that of course the animal is not a human creature, so we suppose that there is something superior in man, and that we first receive it from the gods. For since the gods by their nature are pure and free from corruption, so far as men approach them by reason, so far do they cling to purity and to a love of purity. But since it is impossible that man's nature can be altogether pure, being mixed of such materials, reason is applied as far as possible, and reason endeavors to make human nature love purity. The first, then, and highest purity is that which is in the soul, and we say the same of impurity. Now, you could not discover the impurity of the soul as you could discover that of the body. But as to the soul, what else could you find in it than that which makes it filthy in respect to the acts which are her own? Now, the acts of the soul are movement towards an object, or movement from it. Desire, aversion, preparation, design, assent. What then is it in which these acts makes the soul filthy and impure? Nothing else than her own bad judgments. Consequently, the impurity of the soul is the planting in it of proper opinions, and the soul is pure which has proper opinions. For the soul alone in her acts is free from perturbation and pollution. For we ought not even by the appearance of the body to deter the multitude from philosophy. But as in other things, a philosopher should show himself cheerful and tranquil, so also he should in the things that relate to the body. See, ye men, that I have nothing that I want. Nothing. See how I am without a house, and without a city, and in exile. If it happens to be so, and without a hearth, I live more free from trouble and more happily than all of the noble birth and the rich. But look at my poor body also, and observe that it is not injured by my hard way of living. But if a man says this to me, who has the appearance and face of a condemned man, what god shall persuade me to approach philosophy, if it makes men such persons? Far from it. I would not choose to do so, even if I were going to become a wise man. I indeed would rather that a young man, who is making his first movements toward philosophy, should come to me with his hair carefully trimmed than with it dirty and rough. For there is seen in him a certain notion of beauty and a desire of that which is becoming, and where he supposes it to be, there also he strives that it shall be. It is only necessary to show him, and to say, young man, you seek beauty, and you do well. You must know, then, that it grows in that which part of you where you have the rational faculty. Seek it there where you have the movements toward and movements from things, where you have the desires towards and aversion from things. For this is what you have in yourself, of a superior kind. But the poor body is naturally on the earth. Why do you labor about it to no purpose? If you shall learn nothing else, you will learn from time that the body is nothing. But if a man comes to me, daubed with filth, dirty, and a mustache down to his knees, what can I say to him? But what kind of resemblance can I lead him on? For about what was he busied himself with, which resembles beauty? That I may be able to change him and say beauty is not in this, but in that. Would you have me to tell him that beauty consists not in being daubed with muck, but that it lies in the rational part? Has he any desire of beauty? Has he any form of it in his mind? Go and talk to a hog, and tell him not to be rolled in the mud. On attention. When you have remitted your attention for a short time, do not imagine this, that you will recover it when you choose, but let this thought be present to you, that in consequence of the fault committed today, your affairs must be in a worse condition for all that follows. For first, and what causes most trouble, a habit of not attending is formed in you, then a habit of deferring your attention, and continually, from time to time, you drive away, by deferring it to the happiness of life, proper behavior, the being and living conformably to nature. If then the procrastination of attention is profitable, the complete omission of attention is more profitable. But if it is not profitable, why do you not maintain your attention constant? Today I choose to play. Well then, ought you not to play with attention? I choose to sing. What then hinders you from doing so with attention? Is there any part of life accepted to which attention does not extend? For will you do it worse by using attention, and better by not attending at all? And what else of the things in life is done better by those who do not use attention? Does he who works in a wood work better by not attending to it? Does the captain of a ship manage it better by not attending? And are any of the smaller acts done better by inattention? Do you not see that when you have let your mind loose, it is no longer in your power to recall it, either to propriety, or to modesty, or to moderation, but you do everything that comes into your mind in obedience to your inclinations? First, then, we ought to have these in readiness, and to do nothing without them. We ought to keep the soul directed to this mark, to pursue nothing external, and nothing which belongs to others, but to do as he has appointed who has the power. We ought to pursue altogether the things which are in the power of the will, and all other things as it is permitted. Next to this, we ought to remember who we are, and what is in our name, and to endeavor to redirect our duties towards the character of our several relations in this manner. What is the season for singing? What is the season for play? And whose presence? What will be the consequence of the act? Whether our associates will despise us, whether we shall despise them, when to jeer, and whom to ridicule, and on what occasion to comply, and with whom, and finally, in complying, how to maintain our own character. But wherever you have deviated from any of these rules, there is damage immediately, not from anything external, but from the action itself. What then? Is it possible to be free from faults? Is it not possible? It is not possible, but this is possible, to direct your efforts incessantly to being faultless. For we must be content if by never remitting this attention we shall escape at least a few errors. But now, when you have said, "Tomorrow I will begin to attend," you must be told that you are saying this. "Today I will be shameless, disregardful of time and place." Mean, "It will be in the power of others to give me pain. Today I will be passionate and envious." See how many evil things you are permitting yourself to do. If it is good to use attention tomorrow, how much better it is to do so today. If tomorrow it is in your interest to attend, much more is it today, that you may be able to do so tomorrow also, and may not defer it again to the third day. Against, or to those who readily tell their own affairs. When a man has seemed to us to have talked with simplicity about his own affairs, how is it that at last we are ourselves also induced to discover to him our own secrets, and we think this to be candid behavior? In the first place, because it seems unfair for a man to have listened to the affairs of his neighbor, and not to communicate to him also in turn our own affairs. Next, because we think that we shall not be present to them, the appearance of candid men when we are silent about our own affairs. Indeed, men are often accustomed to say, "I have told you all my affairs. Will you tell me nothing of your own?" Where is this done? Besides, we also have this opinion that we can safely trust him who has already told us his own affairs. For the notion rises in our minds that this man could never divulge our affairs, because he would be cautious, that we also should not divulge his. In this way also the incautious are caught by the soldiers at Rome. A soldier sits by you in a common dress and begins to speak ill of Caesar, then you, as if you had received a pledge of his fidelity, by his having begun the abuse, utter yourself also what you think, and then you are carried off in chains. Something of this kind happens to us also generally. Now, as this man has confidently entrusted his affairs to me, shall I also do so to any man whom I meet? For when I have heard, I keep silence, if I am of such a disposition. But he goes forth and tells all men what he has heard. Then if I hear what he has been done, if I be a man like him, I resolve to be revenged. I divulge what he has told me. I both disturb others and am disturbed myself. But if I remember that one man does not injure another, and that every man's acts injure and profit him, I secure this, that I do not act anything like him. But still I suffer what I do suffer through my own silly talk. True, but it is unfair when you have heard the secrets of your neighbor, for you in your turn to communicate nothing to him. Did I ask you for your secrets, my man? Did you communicate your affairs on certain terms, that you should in return hear mine also? If you are a babbler and think that all who meet you are friends, do you wish me also to be like you? But why, if you did well in entrusting your affairs to me, and it is not well for me to entrust mine to you, do you wish me to be so rash? It is just the same if I had a cask which is watertight, and you, with a hole in it, should come to me and deposit with me your wine, that I might put it into my cask. And then you should complain that I also did not entrust my wine to you, for you have a cask with a hole in it. How then is there any equality here? You entrusted your affairs to a man who is faithful and modest, to a man who thinks that his own actions alone are injurious or useful, and that nothing external is. Would you have me entrust mine to you, a man who has dishonored his own faculty of will, and who wishes to gain some small bit of money or some office or promotion in the court? Even if you should be going to murder your own children like Medea? Where is this equality? But show yourself to me to be faithful, modest, and steady. Show me that you have friendly opinions. Show that your cask has no hole in it, and you will see how I shall not wait for you to trust me with your own affairs. But I myself shall come to you and ask you to hear mine. For who does not choose to make use of a good vessel? Who does not value a benevolent and faithful adviser? Who will not willingly receive a man who is ready to bear a share, as we may say, of the difficulty of his circumstances, and by this very act to ease the burden, by taking a part of it,